Hello friends and welcome to the latest Kings of Anglia isolation podcast. It's Monday morning. I'm in my conservatory / dining room. The boys are split around the county in their various isolation stations. I'm your host Mark Heath as ever, and the three men that really matter, the faces of the franchise, as I say, at home, isolating, sticking to the rules. Dr. Stuart Watson, first of all, how are you?
Good, thanks.
Do you want to repeat your public health announcement of last week? I think it's still important.
Stay the fuck indoors, everybody.
Exactly.
That's the advice.
That's from a doctor, so you have to take that advice. Hutch Hogan, you're in your spare room, I believe. How's things?
Solid, mate. Solid.
Solid as a rock.
Yeah.
And Roscoe, producer Ross, who is spending his time in isolation wearing all of Ipswich Town's kits from the last 20 years.
Pretty much.
You're on is it the playoff season kit you are wearing today?
No, 2016-17, I think this is. Right. It's my last shirt that I actually bought in terms of a fan.
That's 17-18, my friend.
18. Oh, okay, I don't know.
Roscoe, have you got a favourite one to wear around the house? Is there one that's more comfy than anyone else?
I like the Fysons ones from 1993, the Premier League one, where I like that one. I don't know, it feels very comfy.
Is that the one with the tie neck?
Tie neck, yeah.
Classic.
I like that.
Absolutely.
Nice one, that one.
So then, boys, it's now been 3 weekends without football. How are we all adapting to life indoors? What do we get up to at the weekend? Stewie?
These what have you got up to chats are getting completely irrelevant now, aren't they? We struggled before when we were allowed to go out and do things.
Yeah.
Just stayed in. Me and a few of my old mates got together on one of these sort of big video group chats on Saturday night and sunk quite a bit of alcohol. That was quite fun. A little online party.
A virtual drinking session?
Yeah.
How long did that last?
Quite a few hours.
Yeah?
Yeah, people were just sort of coming and going. And
set the scene then. So you're just sat in your spare room drinking?
I was in the kitchen, yeah. Mrs. was in the other room watching some telly, got the little one down to bed, and then
got on it.
Cracked open some beers, some wine, and some spirits.
I still think we should
dress up.
Yeah.
Yeah, tux.
Yeah. I still think we should do a Kings of Anglia drinking podcast where we just slowly get drunk. Obviously, Hutchie would be the voice of reason amongst all that, staying on the Pepsi, but I think that'd be good fun. We could do a drinking games one even. Hutcho, what did you get up to this weekend?
It was my wife's 33rd birthday this weekend, so we had a great time.
Yeah.
We had our.
Okay, mate. I was going to say, did you have plans like that you had to cancel and stuff like that, or?
Well, we were supposed to be in Lisbon, which obviously we're not.
No.
But we did our state prescribed exercise hour.
Yeah.
We went out for a bike ride. I made a cake.
Yeah.
I made a curry.
Nice.
It was all right. Yeah, probably the best lockdown day yet, but probably not great in terms of birthdays. But
how many holidays now breaks have you had ruined by various things? So Lisbon was one.
3 this year.
Yeah, you had obviously the trip to Milan to watch what turned out to be an incredible game of football, the Milan derby. That was cancelled by Storm Sierra, was it?
Yep. And
then you had the trip over to Holland. Was it Holland you were going to?
Oh, that's 4 overseas trips actually.
Yeah.
Then it was Juventus against AC Milan. That was coronavirus that did for that one, but that was when coronavirus didn't impact us at all and was just an Italian problem.
Yeah.
Then I was supposed to be going over to the Netherlands to see a former Ipswich player about something. Yeah. In Lisbon. Had a trip to Scotland cancelled for a family wedding, which thankfully they've managed to get all their money back, which is good. But yeah, that's it. There are bigger things than holidays, though.
Yeah. Yeah, it's not been kind to you, though, with that kind of luck. Roscoe, what did you get up to at the weekend?
Nothing. Sasha was working. Sasha worked all weekend, so I've been home alone. So I've just been binge watching Netflix and Sleeping, really.
What was the best thing you watched on Netflix?
I rewatched something called Lone Survivor, Mark Wahlberg and all that.
Oh, that's a good film, actually. It's true
Pretty good
story,
film,
isn't
yeah.
it?
Yeah, true story, yeah. So I watched that, and yeah, I went for all my, as you know, the government has said, go out for your walks. I've been doing some walking and stuff, exercising when I can, but
Yeah.
mostly sleeping, to be fair.
Boys, am I allowed to say that I'm actually bloody loving this isolation? I mean, I am one of the most antisocial people you will meet. So not to have to make an excuse to not see people is absolutely tremendous for me.
Fair
I
enough.
think you'd feel differently if you were locked in a house with a child.
Oh, well, yeah, I guess.
Ross's experience sounds very different to
Sorry.
mine. No, there's no box sets going on here. No sleeping, but lots of forts and lots of dens and
That's pretty cool.
yeah, that breaks up the crying. Yeah,
we're rewatching classic films. So we did Goodfellas. We had an Italian themed Saturday night. We made an Italian film. I say we made. The wife made.
Yeah.
It.
Yeah.
She's a tremendous cook. I'm very lucky.
That looked really good.
Yeah. So we had homemade pasta. We did homemade bruschetta. We also did homemade profiteroles and watched Goodfellas, which is obviously a classic film. And last night we had a roast beef with all the trimmings and enjoyed Gladiator. Absolutely tremendous. Brilliant. So yeah, good times. Boys, should we talk about something Ipswich Town related, being this is an Ipswich Town pod? We're gonna have a little debate every Monday pod to fill the space, obviously in the lack of actual football to talk about. Last week we talked about last week? Legends versus icons, which I thought was an interesting chat. Seemed to go down pretty well. And this week I wanted to talk about the best loan players Town have had. We put that out on our Kings of Anglia social media on Twitter. Got a lot of people talking, and Roscoe did a little video as well. So best loan players in Town history, boys. The obvious one that everyone always goes straight away, like a reflex reaction, is Gio dos Santos. Now he's probably the best player in terms of technical ability and obviously overall impact on the world game. Still seems ridiculous that he ever played for Town. There are obviously lots of other people who would contend. So, actually, let's start with you. Is Gio dos Santos the best loan player that Town have ever had?
No.
Okay, who is?
I think it's not. It's certainly not him. That kind of depends how you want to interpret a loan, really. Like he played 8 games and scored 4 goals. He was very good, clearly too good. Shouldn't have been there, but he ultimately had no impact really on the history of the club. That season that he was there was the end. That was the end of Jim Magilton's time as manager. Missed the playoffs. Ultimately of little consequence to Ipswich. A great player, wonderful to watch. Really exciting that he was in an Ipswich shirt. But if you look at some of the other loan players that have had a real impact on Ipswich Town, for me, I wouldn't have Gio at the top of that list, sadly.
Would he be in your top 5?
No, but only because I'm maybe taking the question differently to what some other people would. Yeah, that there are players that had much more of an impact than he did. I'm not disputing that he was so much fun to watch. He really was. But you got people like Jim Magilton was a lone player. Martin Roycer was a lone player. Even like back to the 80s, Paul Cooper, 70s and 80s, Paul Cooper started as a lone player for Ipswich. Yeah, DJ Campbell scored goals that kept Ipswich in a division. I want more impact than a little vanity run at the end of the season.
Yeah, DJ Campbell also scores points for an excellent neck tattoo, which I think is important. If you get a neck tattoo, extra points. Stewie, who are you putting in the top low need category?
DJ Campbell was someone that instantly sprung to mind because, like you say, in terms of the overall impact, his goals were really what started firing Ipswich away from the relegation zone. And, without that, they wouldn't have had the subsequent build under Mick and the run to the playoffs and everything that followed. So that's a good shout. Jimmy Bullard is quite topical, considering we put the feature out at the weekend with him. That loan spell at the end of the season just put smiles on people's faces and got people enthused after the end of the Roy Keane era, and probably sold quite a few season tickets. Johnny Williams is someone that I think someone who keeps returning as well. That becomes, Daryl Murphy had 3 loan spells before he signed permanently. Johnny Williams kept coming back and was a really popular figure, and I loved watching him play the way he plays, and it was just such a shame with injuries. Ryan Fraser and Tom Lawrence in more recent times. Fraser in particular, I just thought was class. And after that playoff season, we were all saying that the wing positions, if Ipswich can upgrade those, as much as we loved Tabby and Ando on the wings, they were hard-working wide midfielders. And when they went out and got Fraser and Maitland-Niles that summer, and I watched them in pre-season training, I thought, if you can get Murphy playing the way he did last year with 2 proper wingers feeding them, I was excited about that. And Fraser was class. And again, it's just a shame with injuries that he couldn't play more.
Rossi, what are you saying? You put together a video on the best loan players. Is there one of you that stands out more than others?
Jordan Graham.
We'll talk about worst in a minute.
I do get what Hutchie says about Giovanni Dos Santos. Like, in terms of a player, like quality, he shouldn't have ever played for us really. But the impact he made wasn't really for the future. Really, it was just there and then. Really. But like players like Jim Magilton, who signed on loan at the start, then signed permanently, is just amazing. Even Jamie Clapham was on loan as well at first. So many great players, like Daryl Murphy as well. He came on loan multiple times and then he signed permanently. So sometimes I like them sort of loans that actually become our player in the future. Some don't turn out as good, like Paul Digby. But there's I do like that sort of case, that story where they come on loan, they do well, and then they sign permanently and they do well as well. So
McGoldrick was a loan to start with, wasn't he?
Yeah, McGoldrick was.
Jay Tab was a loan to start with.
Yeah.
Jay Tab, come on.
Tabby.
Let's not have Jay Tab near this discussion.
I think
another
good shout is Keith Andrews as well.
Oh yeah. He was tremendous. He turned into a goal scoring machine, didn't he?
Yeah, he scored 9 goals for us, 9 goals in I think 20 games. So another player that I think we would have liked to sign permanently, but probably wasn't in our price range back then, unfortunately.
Yeah.
But
here's another one, David Unsworth. Joe Royal always says that if he'd have managed to keep David Unsworth there, that they'd have gone up that season. Did it run out just before the playoffs and he couldn't play at the end of the season?
Yeah, I think they signed him because you could only do, it wasn't like transfer window stuff then. You could do 3-month loans and it just didn't. They ended up having to play a combination. I think, can't remember which one of them, but they ended up shifting either Drissa Diallo or Fabian Wilness to left back in the playoffs, and it just didn't work. I tell you who my actual favourite loan player to watch for Ipswich was Sixto Peralta. He was my favourite player to watch that's been a loan player. And it's just a shame that Ipswich were relegated that year, because if they weren't, he'd have signed permanently. He was great to watch. He was just a street footballer. He socks down, getting kicked. Still managed to stay up. He was brilliant to watch.
Okay, so that's quite a few names there. Can I pin you down to one over all others? For each of you would say your favourite / best Town loanee. How many times was Johnny Williams on loan at Town, by the way? It seems like he was there. About 4 different, yeah. Unbelievable, wasn't it? He kept coming back every season, it seemed. But anyway, boys, Stewie, could I pin you down to one?
If you wanted my personal favourite, it'd be Ryan Fraser.
Yeah. Got injured, didn't he? He was having a tremendous season, and then he did his hamstring, didn't he? I seem to remember. Was it hamstring injury that stopped him?
Yeah, I can't remember the name.
I've been knee, actually, thinking about it.
Yeah, he was 2 injuries, didn't
he? Yeah, he was superb. Rossi, what about you?
I think Jim Magilton, because of what he did afterwards. But in terms of just a lone player, just in general, I think Keith Andrews. I think definitely because I used to like him because he scored them goals. But yeah,
he had a big impact as well, didn't he? You forget. I mean, when he arrived, Town were obviously really struggling under Jewell. He scored those 2 goals in the comeback against Barnsley, which probably saved Jewell's job for a time. He was unbelievable when he was here. He later went on to have one of the world's worst haircuts as well, of course, Keith Andrews. So you're having Keith Andrews. Hutchie, who are you going for? Are you going for Sixto?
No, because I would put him above. There's 2 categories for me. There's the ones that were on loan and went permanent, and then just loans. Peralta's the best loan, but overall, the whole piece, Ipswich's best loan player is Martin Royster, because during the initial loan, he scored the goal against Bolton in the playoffs, and he put the icing on the cake at Wembley. That was during the loan, and that's why he's above Magilton in the loan bracket, the lone ranger. So Martin Royster for me.
Excellent. I always love an answer where you show you're working out. That's the best sort of answer. Boys, we also, of course, when we talk about the best loanees, we also have to talk about the worst. And there's a lot of competition, shall we say, for that title. Roscoe hinted at Flair Jordan Graham, who would have to be up there in the running for. He was here twice, wasn't he?
Yeah.
And did nothing both times.
Pretty much.
Talked a very good game before the Norwich derby, I seem to remember last time.
Ooh. There's actually one player we missed out as well, Jack Colback.
Oh yeah, good shout.
He won Player of the Year in his spell. Even Jimmy Bullard did that in his loan spell. He was Player of the Year after only playing 16 games. But worst players, lone players. Jordan Graham's definitely up there, I think.
Yeah,
we've had a few.
You forget people like Andros Townsend were at Ipswich, and he's the right back that went on to do quite well.
Danny Simpson, people like that. There was some players that went on to do good things. Goalkeepers as well. Who was was Fulham on loan? Yeah, Begovic.
No, Philip was a permanent. I think so.
Who is it? Is it Mike Pollitt that was here for
one game? Yeah,
one game. Yeah.
6 days he was at Ipswich.
Yeah, and beat Norwich in the derby.
Yeah,
superb. So worst.
This is maybe more of a controversial one in terms of 2 players who had that, like Richard Chaplow and Noel Hunt. There, then 2 moments where, oh my god, late winners. But were they actually any good? Not really. I don't think.
They kind of wrote themselves into town folklore, though, didn't they?
Yeah, pretty much.
In those games.
They certainly weren't bad.
No, they weren't bad. Let's talk about bad. I'm very keen to pin down bad. So we've got Jordan Graham, Reece Wabara, remember him? Worst loan players, boys. Give me some names. Stewie.
I've got one.
Who was the left back that came from Palace? Zeki Friars. Yeah, I remember him being pretty dreadful for the handful of games he played. Got absolutely roasted.
Rossi, go on.
Stern John.
Oh man, there's so many players that have been on loan you just completely forget about. Stern John, Jesus, yeah. Archie, can you add to this bad party?
If you rewind back to around 2004, the consensus answer to this question would be Tony Dinning, who was a central midfielder. I think he was on loan from Wigan at the time, and this is what didn't help him. He wasn't appalling, but he was been a really good side and wasn't up to the level of Magilton, Jemaine Wright, who was still in that side at the time, I think. But he wore the number 10 shirt in central midfield, and he just didn't live up to it. He just wasn't up to the level of the team at that time, and he was very much the worst loan player of that era.
There you go then. Good stuff. It's a good chat, good loan chat. Let us know what you think, best and worst. Just hit us on the various social media for Kings of Anglia. Kings of Anglia on Twitter, on Instagram, and also on Facebook. Let us know. And then, boys, I thought also another addition to a Monday pod, just for a little bit of fun, would be why not try and break a world record every Monday? Eh? We aim high here at the Kings of Anglia. And we have a very, very talented member among us in one particular sphere of skill, and that's Stuart Watson, who you may have seen on various videos doing his pen spin. I would still argue that's one of the coolest things, one of the coolest skills anyone could have. Certainly the one I envy most from Stewie. So I looked up the world record for number of pen spins on one's thumb in a minute. There is actually a record for it, and it's 75, set by a guy in Spain, I think I recall. So I thought what we'd do, Stewie has had a couple of casual goes in the office at this and did pretty well. So I thought what we'd do is maybe start with this one, and then every Monday we'll look at other world records that the rest of us can maybe try and set in isolation. So Stewie, we thought this week we'd go for yours. Now it's important to say that you've not been training. You're just going to do it on the night, Gov, is what you're going to do here. You're going to try and set a mark, basically. We're not expecting you to break the record, although it would obviously be tremendous. It's more than a spin per second, of course, that 75 mark. So Stewie, do you want to talk us through first of all the pen you're going to use, because that's important, isn't it?
Yeah, we had to delay this because I had to go and hunt around the house for one that's up to the task. I've toyed with the what do they call these? The
H2 pencil.
H2
A
pencil.
pencil.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a pencil. Yeah.
I wanted to get the name specifically right, Hutchie.
Yeah.
You can't be going with one of these with the lid on the end because the lid will catch the thumb on the follow through.
Yeah.
So what I've got a nice. This is one of the wife's arty pens.
Nice.
I think this will do the job.
Balance, I guess, is important, is it?
Balance is everything. Yeah.
It's an equally weighted pen.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right. So obviously, if you're watching this on YouTube, you can actually see Stewie having a go at this. If you're listening to it, obviously go back and watch it as well because it's very visual. The way we're going to do it is Stew's just going to move his camera down to sort of crotch level so you can see the pen. It needs to be a bit higher than that, Stu.
A bit higher.
No, lower with the camera, higher with the pen. There we go.
Cut my face
More
out.
crotch.
Yeah.
More crotch.
You want your crotch.
Yeah.
Okay.
So the way it's
How's
going to
that?
work. The way it's going to work is Hutchie's going to be the official timer. He'll put the timer up on screen, and I will count for the benefit of those of you listening. So the mark we're going for is 75. What would you consider to be good, Stu, with this kind of off the?
If 1 second, I'll be happy with that.
So if we can get 60, that would be tremendous. All right,
I'm
then.
nervous.
Are we ready?
Yeah.
Hutchie, have you got the timer?
I'm a cheerleader.
Hutch,
Go, Stu.
Going to
Go,
cheer.
Stu.
Are we ready to go, Stewie?
Yeah.
Go. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8.
Oh, no.
Oh.
9,
Oh.
10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21,
Lost it.
22, 23, come on, Stu, 24, 25, 26, 27, 28, 29, 30. 30 seconds left. 31, 32, 33, 34, 35, 36, 37, 38, 39, 40, 41, 42, 43, 44, 45, 46, 47, 48, 49, 50, 51, 52, 53, 54, 55, 56, 57. Stop!
Oh.
Uh,
My hand hurting now.
That's not, Stewie, that's not bad at all, my friend. For no practice at all, you've come within 18 of setting a new world record.
there was
there.
a fatal drop in there. You cannot afford a drop.
You get, it seems to me you might get sort of cramp in your hand as well, like as
Yeah.
you're focusing everything on that hand and that spin.
Yeah.
I
It's,
urge people to go back and watch that because if you don't watch it, that's just Mark counting to 56.
57 it was actually, 57, that's important.
people listening or going for their little isolation walk as listening to this as a piece of audio content. That's possibly the worst bit of radio, inverted
That's
commas.
why it's important to not only listen but also watch back on video. Stewie, how would you assess that world record attempt? Are you happy with that, 57?
I can do better. There's more in there. There's
If
more
you
in the
have
tank.
The drop cost you a good 2 or 3 seconds, maybe even more. So I think we can get close to that mark as the isolation weeks go on. You haven't got anything else to do, have you, really? So
No, I'll promise you I'll practice. I'll do everything I can.
yeah.
Yeah.
Get strengthening that thumb weights. Yeah. Right then, boys. Let's have a Mark's big question now, shall we? Hutchie, do you want to do the live?
Yeah.
Go.
I need some Jaws music, please.
Dum,
Um,
dum, dum,
um,
dum, 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 dum.
Mark's big question.
that is a very good one.
That was
Right.
good.
Before we get going, my missus, who obviously is a member of the KOA Army, is insisting that she should be allowed to do a Liz's big question on one of these isolation pods.
Defo.
So we might be able to get her involved at some point. She's currently on a phone conference, though, so she can't do today. Hutchie, give me a number between 1 and 25.
16.
16. 16 is what, or which, I suppose, posters did you have on your wall as a 16-year-old? Yeah, come on.
I think the posters might have started to come down by 16, but
Yeah.
certainly, lots of football posters, everything from match and shoot. I've said before, I was Everton mad as a kid, so all the Everton players basically.
A shrine to Duncan Ferguson.
Big shrine to Duncan Ferguson, yeah.
Yeah. When you say the posters started to come down by the age of 16, what did you replace them with? Kind of avant-garde art?
No, just normal walls.
You just went with walls. Interesting. Okay.
Is that?
My
wrong?
my
How
room was
long?
plastered with posters. Certainly until I went away to university, and then my university room was plastered with posters as well. Maybe I'm used.
No, when I went to uni and I met my now wife at the age of 18, she bought me. She knew I was a big Rachel Stevens fan, so she bought me a Rachel Stevens calendar.
Wow.
And instead of just having it up just sort of month by month, I took out all 12 pages and stuck them all up at the same time, which she wasn't bargaining on.
When she bought you that calendar, was that the moment you thought, she is a keeper? I'm going to marry this woman.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was in there.
Hutcho, what about you?
I didn't have that many posters when I was like a younger teen. I did at one point try and put a poster of Mike Tyson that I got out of a sports magazine up on the wall, but my mum made me take it down due to his legal troubles. That wasn't the kind of man I should have been putting up on my wall, apparently. But I started out with posters when I got to uni though. I had quite a nice one of George Bush's best quotes.
Yeah.
Which I used to quite like.
W we're talking about, obviously not senior.
Yeah, George W.
Rossi, you were only just over 16 now. What posters did you have on your wall as a youth?
Naked ladies, of course.
Yeah.
Of course it is.
So yeah, what are we talking about? Proper full frontal? Was it like a prison?
No, I didn't have that. No.
Yeah.
I had a Pulp Fiction
classic.
poster.
Yeah.
Movie poster.
Yeah.
But nothing really else, really. Just.
Was it the one where they have bananas instead of guns?
No, it's what's her name?
Film poster. Uma Thurman.
Poster, yeah, Uma Thurman. Yeah. Her like smoking on the bed.
Yeah.
That movie poster, but nothing else really. Maybe like an Ipswich Town sort of squad photo, maybe.
Yeah.
Unfortunately,
controversial opinion. Pulp Fiction overrated. Not one of Tarantino's best films.
It's all right.
It's all right. Yeah, it's just not up there with his best work. Everyone would go to that as a classic film. For me, and this may be me showing my age, I had around that age, I had a picture of Cindy Crawford, a big poster of Cindy Crawford on the beach. I had a poster of Halle Berry, the actress, who was unbelievably good looking. And I also had lots of posters of Tupac Shakur and Biggie Smalls on my walls as a youth, obviously.
Me too.
Yeah.
Jizza, yeah.
The Jizza was there. The whole Wu-Tang crew were there. Which I think what else I had football-wise. I think probably the guy I had most posters of was, as discussed previously, was probably Dean Saunders. Well, that would have been a bit younger than 16. So
did we all have the league ladder posters as well, where you could move the shirts up and down?
Yeah, that was a staple. That was probably before I was 16, though. There were, was it Match that used to do that, or did both of them do that, Match and Shoot?
I don't know, probably both.
I was more of a Match man.
I was always a Match man over Shoot. I used to love the stats in the back, you know, the match ratings and all that sort of stuff at the back they had for every single game. Excuse me.
Right.
It's all right. I'm okay, boys. It's just a tickle. Boys, should we talk about something else, non-poster related? Shall we talk about Jimi Bullard? Because on Saturday in the paper and online, hopefully most of you have seen it, we had what I would say is one of the best things I've read in my decade of sports editor. Stewie tracked down Jimi Bernard, collared him before he was going out to do some fishing, and got a wonderful interview out of him about his time at Town, kind of going from the ecstasy, the highs, the loan spell, everyone buying Jimi Bernard wigs, to the lows, the infamous night out in Newcastle that effectively ended his Town career and football career, really. So I thought it'd be worth just talking about that, Stewie. Peek behind the curtain time. It was a great interview. Tell us a little bit about it.
It started with me literally just scrolling through my phone and looking at various contacts in there, thinking, who can I ring today to get a feature during this weird time? That is effectively our lives at the moment. Can't even remember when or how I got Jimmy's number, but it was in there, and I thought it'd be quite an interesting one. That was right. My first season reporting on Ipswich was after he'd signed permanently, so I didn't actually get to see the loan spell, but I remember getting the job that summer and there being a big clamour for Ipswich to sign him because that loan spell was so good. I think 5 goals in 16 games. So yeah, gave Jimmy a call. Wasn't expecting him to answer or necessarily say yes, but obviously just caught him at the right moment, and he was very open and honest, and it turned out to be quite a nice interview, I think. So it was good.
Just talk a little bit about, for those people who've not read it, he was quite open about the night out in Newcastle with Michael Chopra, and how he thought he was maybe harshly treated a little bit by Paul Jewell. Yeah,
you could. At the end of it, Jimmy sort of said, "Oh, do you mind sending it to me? Please do a classy job of this. Don't stitch me up here because I've been honest with you." And I think he was you can almost see his thought process as he's going through the interview in terms of, I think his go-to emotion to start with was one of anger, and he still felt a bit raw about how perhaps he'd been thrown under the bus or let down by Paul Jewell, in terms of how him and Chopra were punished differently and how he was let go at the end of that season. But almost as he was sort of verbalising that, it was almost like it was sort of dawning on him that actually I was probably becoming a bit difficult to manage, and now I'm older and now I've done a bit of management myself, I can probably see that I was becoming a bit of a pain in the arse. So I just thought it was quite interesting. That's how I tried to write it up, almost just showing his own. We talk about showing our working when we're talking about things. Jimmy did a lot of that while we were chatting.
Yeah. No, I thought it was really good, mate. Really, really, really interesting. In terms of, you say, difficult to manage, that you could use that to describe quite a lot of the Town players around that time, couldn't you? That's part of the problem.
Yeah, it's no coincidence that when Mick came in, I think one of the first things he did was kind of changed the squad profile in terms of personalities, should we say, and characters. Chopra and Jet were two of the first ones that Mick sort of looked to get rid of, and I did a piece with Luke Chambers after the playoff season where he talked about moving on. I think he used to use the term numpties or people like something like that. And he was, about how that squad needed. I think sometimes if you only need 3, 4, 5, and I hate to use the term bad eggs, but people that are not pulling you in the right direction in terms of characters, and I think that can kind of spread and permeate throughout a squad, and I think that that was a big issue. But Jimmy talked about that squad there wasn't enough pace in that team, and there wasn't the right sort of chemistry. You looked at it on paper, and there was a lot of big name players, inverted commas, for that time in the Championship with Bowyer and Leadbitter and people like that, Chopra, of course, but they just couldn't get it to gel. There wasn't the right. You have to get the blend. It's all about chemistry, isn't it? You got to get the right amount of pace. You got to get the right amount of characters. You got to get. They were trying to shoehorn too many people in. It was a diamond formation. So
yeah, Jet, of course, one of Mick's great quotes about I'll start calling him. Was it I'll start calling him Jet when he plays like he's got a rock up his arse. A great Mickism. Hutchie, what did you take away from the Bullard interview? I thought it was really interesting. Was there anything particularly that you were fascinated by?
On a broad level, it's not a period of Ipswich's history that I had any real knowledge of at all. I was kind of loosely aware of a night out, but I didn't really know about that. So just on a broad detail, that was interesting. But I think the thing I found the most interesting was the clear dynamic of Jewel and Bullard's relationship there, that they were mates, and that Jimmy saw him as a mate, and that's clearly fed into how he felt about the whole situation, in that he was being wronged in his mind by a mate rather than just his boss. I found that really interesting, because it must happen, especially when obviously he was such a successful player for Jewel at Wigan. That's why he came to Ipswich in the first place, because of that history that they had together, and just that there's the potential for those relationships to become difficult in football if you are maybe too close. And clearly Paul was going through a difficult time in his career at that point as well, and I think Jimmy was a good person to recognise that, given that he was kind of with Jewel at maybe his most successful stop, and could recognise that his mate was maybe drifting away from the things that had made him successful in the past. And I just think that dynamic of the two of them was really interesting to read about.
Yeah, it was really good. And also, obviously, if you've not read that yet, go back and read it. It's online in its entirety. You track back through the Ipswich Town stuff on the Anglian and Star websites. Go and read it there. And also, Stu, you spoke to Ian Milne for today's print and also online, talking specifically more about the end of the Mick era and the search for his successor, obviously being the ill-fated Hollywood Hurst. Just talk a little quickly about that before we get to the strike.
It's just Ian obviously left the club last January, so chance to catch up with him and kind of look back on. He was there for 6 years, but really the last year of his tenure as MD, in which obviously 2018 was pretty eventful, with the kind of the protracted, drawn out Mick McCarthy exit, the lengthy search for Paul Hurst, and how that quickly came to an end. So a little bit of insight into kind of the decision making around Mick leaving and how that panned out. And he talks about how he voiced the search for Hurst and how he voiced concerns about how that first transfer window under Paul Hurst panned out at the time. So a few little, nothing sort of groundbreaking, but a few little bits of insight into the thought process of the powers that be during that whole period. Part 2's out tomorrow.
Yeah, that's available. Part 1 is available to read now. Part 2 out tomorrow, online and in print. Shall we do what the people have been waiting for? Ross, have you got your jacket?
Oh, no. Bear with me. I've left it in the other room.
Ourselves. Ross is now off to hunt for his jacket. You can see, if you're watching on video, him running through his house. Whereabouts do you keep the jacket, Roscoe? Is it in some golden cupboard somewhere?
Yeah.
Is it just slung on the bed?
Yeah, it's just on the bed, waiting for me to put it on. Is that
your miscellaneous room? Is that your kind of junk room?
Yeah, don't look.
There look like there's a lot of stuff in there, my friend.
Yeah, there's a lot of stuff.
Drawers and rooms like that, trust me. Here we go then. The jacket, it has been retrieved. He's putting it on now. We can get going. What we're going to do intro-wise, you're going to do a live intro again, Hutchie, just for ease in the post-edit?
Yeah.
Go on.
Hello, and welcome to another edition of The Strike, brought to you by the greatest quiz show host on planet Earth, producer Ross.
Right.
Right. Settle down, please. Settle down. Thank you very much. Thank you. We're back for another edition of me talking nonsense, me not pronouncing different things, and celebrating birthdays. That's what you do on the strike. So, blast from the past. Vladio Bonzavinsky. I think I said it right.
No,
Why'd you do it to yourself?
It's his birthday. He turned 56 today. Today. He's celebrating his birthday somewhere in the world right now.
What was his name?
Vladio Bonzavinsky. No?
Bozanovsky.
Oh, my bad.
Okay.
Yeah.
How old was he? I missed that.
He's 56 today.
Happy birthday.
Over to him. Yeah, the former midfielder spent the 1992-93 season at Town, but how many games did he play? And he spent a few months at the club. In the Premier League.
Stewie, do you want to go first?
6.
10.
12.
Dead on.
Well, it's 12.
Yeah.
Get in, come on. 1-0 to the Heath.
Now flashback. Sebastian Abu turns 47 today.
What? Who?
Sebastian Abu. Is that right, Andrew?
To be fair, you've nailed that one.
That's not too bad, yeah.
He turns 47 today, apparently.
Okay.
Though probably not. He did a story, I think, for a West Ham paper, I think, and said that apparently African players lie about their age so they can play at a high level, apparently. So Finidi George will his age will be in question.
Yeah.
When it's his birthday. But yeah, he scored 1 goal in 5 games during his loan spell from West Ham in 1998. But against which team did he score his only goal for Town? Sheffield United, Birmingham, or Portsmouth?
I'm going to say Sheffield United.
Okay.
Portsmouth.
And he said that with the confidence of a man who knows the answer. I'll go with Birmingham just to make it fun.
Sheffield United.
Yes!
2-0.
Come on, boys. Catch up.
In 2001, Marcus Stewart scored a hat-trick against Southampton and completing that hat-trick by scoring a penalty. But who won it? Matt Holland, Martin Reusser, or Jemaine Wright?
Who won a penalty against Southampton in 2001?
Yeah.
Jemaine Wright.
Matt Holland.
I think it was Jemaine Wright.
It's Matt Holland.
Oh, boys. Unbelievable.
3-0.
Obviously, I knew that.
You pretty much won, but we'll still do numbers game.
Yeah.
As it's Frank Yallop's 56th birthday as well this week. How many games did he play for Town during his 13 seasons at Portman Road?
Wow. Jesus, 13 seasons. 340.
Okay.
279.
401.
Stu is the closest, 385.
Well done.
Yay.
Consolation
Buzzing.
goal.
Look at his little face. He's absolutely buzzing.
Was that like next goal wins numbers game? Is that how it works?
Yeah, pretty much.
No.
Yes. Well done,
No.
Stu.
Yeah.
No.
Thank
No,
you.
I'm
Thank
not
you.
having that.
We've got one more question.
Okay.
We've got a tiebreaker if you want it, but pretty much you've won. Alan Mann turns 42 this week.
Good old Alan.
But how many games did he play during his loan spell in 2003?
He'd have been up there in terms of favourite loan players, wouldn't he? He was very popular with Sierra Alan Mann. How many games did he play? 11.
Okay.
16.
15.
It's 12.
What's that? 4-1, boys?
4-1.
Is that 4-1? Yeah.
Yeah.
Dominated.
So
Absolutely
competitive.
dominated. Yeah. Crushed you like ants under my.
Do you want a tiebreaker just for the bants?
Yeah, why not?
Yeah.
Okay.
Always.
Yeah. Which team did Town beat 4-0 at Portland Road in 1997?
What?
Oldham, Port Vale, or Grimsby Town?
Port Vale.
Oldham.
Grimsby Town.
Oldham.
Grimsby.
This is the most dominant strike win ever of all times.
Well
There you
done.
go. There you go.
There you go.
Well
That's
done,
chalk
well
one up for me. Drizzy would be proud. Hey,
He would.
Drizzy, behind me.
I'm just
He
going to go
doesn't
to
care. He doesn't care, mate. He
Yes, he
doesn't
does.
care.
He loves it.
He couldn't even sign your ship on the right side.
I know. He showed me huge disrespect there. Roscoe, what did you say? You going to do what?
I'm just going to go to my spare room to get Barry Cotter. So bear with me.
Okay.
What? You self-isolating at your house?
Yeah, he is.
Yeah.
He's now coming. Barry, yeah, come over. Yeah.
Amazing. I should just point out while Barry does his thing that I'm currently sporting KOA official merch, the Honey Badger. Probably not as popular now as it was for a period at the start of the season, but I'm on trend. I'm on message for this podcast. That was an excellent addition to the strike, and I'm not saying that just because I won 5-1 or whatever it was. Well, it was superb. Boys, we're coming to the end of the show now. What does the week ahead hold in store for us? Obviously, not a lot of going out other than for the mandated exercise. Are you still, as I am, very much in the Christmas diet?
Yes.
I had a pan au chocolat for breakfast this morning, which is basically just a cake. Luckily, I am doing some exercise. Otherwise, I'm going to be literally the size of a house by the time we actually get back to the office. Roscoe, how's the home gym coming? Are you getting massive in there?
Oh, look at those.
That's
No.
enough.
One thing I'm not doing though is actually we have no like cakes or chocolate in our
What?
house at the moment, which
What?
is very rare for me. Basically, when we went shopping, Sash went only essential stuff. So we've got no chocolate, no crisps, no biscuits. So I feel very sad right now.
So you're going to be like trim when we come out of this.
Yeah, pretty much.
Haven't you
Yeah,
got Jaffa cakes.
got no Jaffa cakes either.
What?
See the guns again?
I need some sugar. Need some sugar.
Hey.
I may simply go.
Hutchie, how are you doing in the isolation diet stakes?
We've got 3 birthday cakes in the house, so just working my way through those, really.
Yeah. I think
Get
all
it
bets are
done.
off this time. All bets are off. Does feel very much like a kind of Christmas style diet for me, anyway. What else are we up to this week, then, boys? Have you got any interesting things lined up?
There's things in the pipeline, my friend. I've got a couple of interviews lined up for later today that hopefully will be quite interesting. I'm reluctant to tempt fate because the last time I mentioned one, I mentioned Thomas Priskin, and that has not come to fruition. He's gone very quiet on me, so until they're in the bag, I don't want to mention people.
Okay, fair play. Roscoe and Hutchie, you looking forward to the week ahead?
Oh, yeah.
Buzzing.
Yeah.
Bloody buzzing boy.
All right then. Shall we take our leave before we head into the KOA club? Any other business? Anything anyone wants to mention? Oh, of course. What we do need is an update on Hutchie's facial hair.
Oh, you're not going to like the update.
Oh, you
It's gone.
It's gone.
Oh,
There's a reason I didn't have it in the first place, and that's because I don't like it, and it is gone. It's
okay.
gone.
You've shaved as well, aren't you, Heath?
I've tidied it up a bit.
Yeah.
Yeah, I've not shaved completely. I've just tidied it up a little bit. Obviously, yeah, I'm not greatly skilled in the art of growing a beard, so I don't really know how to trim it, etc. So I'm having to kind of do that, learning on the fly, as we're all going to have to haircut wise. I think your beard's obviously still looking resplendent, Roscoe.
Yeah. Give it another week. It will be everywhere.
Yeah. What I'd love to do is take a screenshot of the first isolation pod that we did and then contrast it to the last one we do in like 3 years' time, whatever it will be.
2022, yeah.
Yeah, and just see how we've all changed. We're all going to look so feral. Anyway, boys, let's do the any other business. Anything to mention?
No other business.
No,
Nah.
not the business.
No other business. Okay, well, that just leaves me then to say, if you have enjoyed this, hit subscribe on your various podcast providers. Leave us a 5-star review on iTunes. That helps us in our visibility. And get involved on all our social medias. Kings of Anglia on Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram. Now, of course, in the time-honoured tradition, it's time to head into the KOA club. It's the only club still open. You're all still invited because you are members of the KOA army. Just make sure you keep your distance. Order yourself a drink. Mine's a whiskey, if you're asking. And let's head off. Have a great start to this week. We'll be back on Thursday. Stay safe, stay indoors, and keep washing them hands. We'll speak to you again on Thursday.
From true crime to football, Brexit to folklore. For more great podcasts from Archon, head to audioboom.com/channel/Archon. Archon, head to audioboom.com/channel